radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Good evening. How you doing? How you doing? Fade to Black. Yeah. The good news, today is Monday. Yeah. August 3rd, 2026. It's another brand new week here on Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. And it's going to be great because this week on Fade to Black, it's always amazing around here. But tonight we have Emily Harrison with us. We're going to be talking about the Akashic Records, maybe some UFOs, some contact, little consciousness, a little science. Everything's on the table with Emily. She's amazing. And maybe I can get her to crack a few jokes too. Yeah. Tomorrow night, Cody Blue Snyder and Tanya Dahl are back with us, the host of Acid for Squares. Again, everybody this week, just friends, people that I look up to, you know, like Wednesday night, Tom Campbell is here. Wrote one of the most influential books in science called My Big Toe, The Theory of Everything. That's right, physicist and consciousness expert, Tom Campbell is with us on Wednesday night. And then wrapping up the week this week, Richard Dolan. Yeah, so we've got Richard Dolan coming in. We've got all kinds of breaking news and headlines in the UFO world. And so Thursday night is Dolan's Thoughts. How about that, kids? All right? That's a pretty solid week here on Fade to Black. I love Mondays for me. I let Michelle run the show. And Mondays for me, I wake up and I get to see, you know, what magic Michelle has put together for the week. And you can see it's always great. It's Christmas morning here on Monday. I do want to mention a couple of things really quick before I bring in Emily. Number one, I finally, and it wasn't because of me, it's called manufacturing, but the availability for air cleaners on the new Harleys are out. So I was able to put in a Wedge Extreme air cleaner kit on my Street Glide. And I did that on Friday. And I raised my bars up. So yeah. Anyway, wow, what a difference. And I got the Mustang seat installed, so the road sofa's out. And Friday and Saturday out here riding in the 105-degree temperature was fast, amazing, and pain-free. I got to tell you, that was absolutely amazing. But then again, this happened on Saturday night. So check this out. I'm relaxing. Saturday night, it's about 11 o'clock at my house. Emily, listen to this. Listen really closely. All right. So I'm sitting and in my family room, TV's in front of me, and the coffee table. And on the coffee table, on the right-hand side away from me, it's about 11 o'clock at night, are 2 or 3 paper towels. The short, you know, not the big, you know, the paper towels that are half size. And so they're sitting there, and one is on top or in the middle. It's kind of folded up. So there's one in the bottom facing this way, a folded up one in the middle, and then this one that's on top. All right. So I'm sitting watching a TV series or movie, that doesn't matter. And I've got my feet up on the coffee table. I'm on the couch at an angle. My feet are crossed on the coffee table, and next to my feet are the paper towels about a foot down. And so I just glanced. Air conditioning's not on. And I just glanced down at my toes, my happy feet. And at that moment, the top paper towel folds over on itself. And I was like, fuck. What? And now I'm looking up at the air conditioning vent. It's not on. I don't feel it. There's no wind in there's no air blowing around. And I went, if it moves again, I'm gonna have a heart attack. And then the bottom one scrunches up like this with a little wrinkle under it. And I thought, is there a bug? A giant bug? A lizard? And so that was two things that happened. Now I'm looking, my heart is pounding. And I'm just watching these paper towels. And nothing happens. And I was literally so much on edge that if something would have happened, I'd have lost it. Because those two things happened right in a row. I don't know. I don't know what caused it. I don't know. All I can tell you is I watched it happen. Now, there's probably some mundane explanation, right? But it happened, and it was cool. If it would have happened a third time, I'd have been in one of those white vans would have pulled up in front of my house. A couple of dudes getting out in white jackets. Come here, Mr. Church. We want to talk to you. You want to try this shirt on with the long sleeves? We're going to take you to your special happy place for a couple of weeks. Yeah, it was like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. All right. There you go. All right. Tonight, Emily Harrison is here. She's one of my favorite people in the world. If she has a thing about her that I know her for, besides her dynamic personality and how cool she is, she's known for the Akashic Records, and she has the Akashic Academy, and that's first and foremost, and that's how I met her. I met her through that, and but it's everything else that she has discovered with her journey through the Akashic Records. And we're going to go through all of that tonight. Not only the Akashic Records, and which is a big mystery to a lot of people. We're going to do that. But the Akashic Records means so many other things. And they open up the mind and the consciousness, your intuition, and everything else around you in your life. So what has she discovered through all of that? We're going to do all of that and much more. Her links are below over on our website and throughout social media. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Emily Harrison. She's right there. What is up?
Hello, my dear friend, Jimmy Church. Thanks for having me back. What's up, everybody out there?
Hey, you're always getting stuff done and doing things. Oh, by the way, Emily.
Yes.
I want to encourage everybody. Follow Emily on all of her channels, because one of my favorite things to do, I don't know if I've ever told you this, Emily. Okay. One of my favorite things to do is just to catch your video of the day. Yeah. And it's always, it's just always, it doesn't matter. You could be out somewhere next to a river or, somewhere out in nature or inside, but it's always really cool. It's always really cool. So that's my little bright spot to the day.
Thank
you.
I
encourage. No, I'm serious. Yeah. I encourage everybody, go and do it. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Well, there's a transmission that comes with those videos.
Oh, of course there is.
I freaking mean it, Jimmy. You know that there's such an authenticity to just invite people into presence And I think you really do feel it, and when you watch the videos.
Yeah, I do. Your little ding. Here we go. But I do that, and I look forward to it every single day. And so let's talk a little bit before we get into the other changes in your life and things that you're noticing. So we'll circle back to that. Not to spend a whole lot of time on this subject, and you can talk about whatever aspect of this you want to, but you left a career here in Hollywood, a great career here in Hollywood, because something clicked and you decided that you wanted to be service to others. That's a really big, so many people come to Hollywood chasing dreams.
Yeah.
Very few people go, you know what? I got a new dream.
I agree. And I was so married to my dream in Hollywood. I remember one time, because through that chapter of my life, I was married, and my mother-in-law asked me at one point, Emily, when are you going to stop doing this and do something else? And I was so mad. I'm like, what? Just like, what do you mean? Like, this is like, I gave up my life in Missouri. I left a small town from where I felt comfortable. Like, I put all of my eggs in one basket. Plus, I loved my career in Hollywood. There was no freaking way that I was leaving that until the timeline shifted. And then all of a sudden, it was no looking back.
I saw a picture of you. I can't even believe I'm mentioning this. Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad.
No. Okay.
I saw a picture of you. I think you're at an awards, one of the awards or some gala, dressed. And you were with George Lopez and somebody else.
Michael Bolton.
Was it Michael Bolton? Okay.
Yes.
Was there a third? Was it Michael Bolton? Okay. Well, anyway, Michael Bolton. That's pretty cool. That's pretty lofty. And you looked happy, right? And you're in the mix. And you walked away from that.
No, I don't think I do though. That post that I talked about, Jimmy, like zoom in on my face. I look good. Let's make a distinction here. I look good in the photo, right?
You did.
We were styled that day. We were showing up. It was a gala. And when you zoom into my face and you see my face versus the videos now where you really get the authentic Emily, man, she wasn't there. It's so vacant. I might have been smiling pretty, with my pageant girl smile, but you zoom in, you know me. I'm not there.
What happened?
Well, in that picture particularly, what was happening in my life, it was 2008. We were experiencing as a collective, a crumble in the economy. I was doing really well in Hollywood. I wasn't doing well enough yet, though, that we could buy a house in Hollywood. So we bought a house out in Palm Springs, and we moved to Palm Springs. And I was going to be commuting back and forth to continue working in Hollywood. And then I landed this gig of being a Bob Hope Chrysler Classic girl, where I got to hang out with the golfers and the pros when they came through town. And really what was going on in my life was like, I had a little kid at home that was still breastfeeding. Right. And it was like, I'm feeling this pull as a mother to want to show up and be a part of this scene. Right. Yet I'm missing these moments at home with my kids and my family. And it was hard for me to reconcile that, because I was so programmed to show up and take the opportunities when they came. Right. But really what was going on in the inside was I was struggling. I was now having this big commute back and forth from Palm Springs to LA. I was away from my family, and I didn't have the tools to manage it. So you know what I did? I swallowed it.
Like we do, right?
Yeah. Maybe you've done that before.
I've done it. We all have.
Yeah. And so what shifted and changed for me? You know what?
Yes,
Is that what pulled me out of it?
The magic.
Also, during that time, I mean, I grew up small town Missouri, really immersed in the Southern Baptist Church. So traditional religion was really all I had experience with when it came to spirituality. Except my own, like I did as a kid, I was very connected. I wouldn't say that I saw dead people, although I really felt like telekinesis was something that I could do. And I felt excited to explore. Like I wanted to play the Ouija board, and I actually now realize also I had alien abductions, but wasn't putting all these pieces together yet as a kid and didn't have a paradigm to explore it until I moved to Los Angeles, which just geographically that opened up me being around different people who had different ideas. And what I discovered really quickly when I started auditioning, because I got a manager and agent right away and they started sending me on auditions, was that I sucked and that I needed to train. And so I got an acting class. That wasn't enough yet, Jimmy, because I could get my script and I could read it and I could be really good in my mind. But I would go into the audition room and the human condition would take over and I would get nervous and I would start judging myself and I would look at all the other girls that are in the room, right? And I would be so in my own way that I needed to meditate. I needed to get control of my thoughts, my breath, like controlling the subtle energy body became a mechanism for me to perform at a higher level. So when I started meditating and doing Tai Chi and Qigong, I started getting more acting jobs. So I did more meditation and Tai Chi and Qigong.
Sure.
Then I started learning things like the law of attraction and how much of a role that I was playing in getting acting jobs. And I started using all of these tools and it worked. Like I was getting more and more acting jobs. However, I was also missing more and more. So the depression, like I said, was really setting in there. But when I was meditating, I didn't feel that depression. And so I became this sponge for just learning everything and anything metaphysical that I could, whether it was theta healing or transcendental meditation or chanting or tapping. Or
were you breathing too?
Yeah, I loved it all.
Yeah, right.
I loved it all. And that was really the only piece of my life that I loved. And gardening. I couldn't even lean into my family and like fully love being a mom because I was just so torn in all these other ways in my life. So as I started learning all of these different like mechanisms on how to tap into the field, I always heard the voice inside me, you can do this too. You can do this too. I just listened to podcasts and things and just followed like YouTube videos. And then one day I'm outside gardening and my neighbor comes limping by. And I realize I haven't seen him for 6 months. So I say, Daniel, what happened to you? And he says, I fell and broke my ankle and it's not healing very well. And before I realized what I even said, Jimmy, it just came out of my mouth. I said, do you want to come over for some energy healing? And as soon as I said that, I was like, oh my God, fuck, what did I just say? I'm not an energy healer. I'm an actress. Like, I hope he says no. And he says,
man, where's my neighbor like you with that invitation?
I'm a good neighbor. I'm a good neighbor. That's very good.
Man. Okay, so did Jack sign up?
Did Jack sign up? What do you mean?
Your neighbor.
Oh no, Daniel. Daniel's
neighbor. Daniel. I thought
Daniel.
Jack.
Yeah, Daniel says, yeah, let me put my dog away. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I'm like, and then I get this idea. Well, just act like an energy healer, right? Just wing it. So that's my plan. I did have this mechanism right here. This is a tuning fork. My mom gave this to me, I don't know, 20 years ago. And so I brought out my tuning fork and I set up this, I set him up out on my garden furniture where he's sitting outside and I prop his leg up and I give him these big Sony headphones. I'm playing some solfeggio scale YouTube meditation. And I'm just like, what do I do? I guess, so I just start waving the fork around his foot, right? That's what's heard. I just wave the fork. And I'm thinking, if my husband comes home right now, I'm going to have some explaining to do. And then all of a sudden, my friend's father who had passed, his dead dad, comes into my field, like into my awareness. Here's the ghost of his dad. And I've seen enough episodes of Long Island Medium. I know I'm supposed to talk to him. So I start up a conversation with his dead dad and I say, what's your name? And I get back in my mind, I see the letters Bob, B-O-B, Bob, Bob, Bob. It's like a flashing neon sign, Bob, Bob, Bob. I'm like, okay, Bob. But then they cross it out in my mind, a big X, but not Bob, but a J name, short like Bob. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but I'm like registering the clues, the signs, right? And then Bob, not Bob, steps forward. The ghost, the dead dad, steps forward super valiantly, like, and he goes, I saved my son, like a superhero. And I'm like, well, you did a shitty job, Bob, not Bob, because his ankle is shattered and he's not healing, right? But okay, you saved him. And then I see one more vision in my mind of two hands coming together. And then the meditation's over. For me, it feels like just a couple of moments have passed, but really 30 minutes have passed. And my friend Daniel, he's taking the headphones off and I'm coming back into my body. And I say, hey, do you feel better? And he goes, yeah, I think I do. And I said, great, bye. And I shoot him on home and I go inside and I'm washing my hands and Bob, not Bob, is there. And he's like, no, reach out to my son. Let him know I was here, please.
Wow, wow, wow.
So I call up my friend. I'm like, all right, you know I'm an actress. I'm not a medium, but I feel like your dad came through in that session. And if you want to know like the messages or whatever, I guess, I'll share them with you. I don't know that I'm right, but I'll share them. And he's like, absolutely. So he comes over and I make us coffee. We sit down and I say, all right, what was your dad's name? And he said, my dad's name was Alan. I'm like, well, shit. I got that wrong because I was getting Bob, 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 not Bob, but a J name, short like Bob. And he freezes and his mouth hangs open a little bit. He says, Emily, my dad's name was Alan J, J-A-Y. He went by his middle name. And so then I proceeded to share with him, well, your dad stepped forward and said that he saved you. And I told him that he did a bad job, but he literally insisted. And my friend said, oh, well, this is what happened. I'd been experiencing vertigo for a couple months, was feeling better. So I decided to get out of my house. I wanted to go shopping for my girlfriend. I went to a jewelry store in Malibu. On the second story of a strip mall. When I felt the vertigo come back on, I didn't want to pass out in the jewelry store. So I stepped outside and I did pass out. And where they called 911 and where the paramedics found me, they said 2 more inches and you would have fallen down 2 flights of concrete stairs. So we realized, wow, his dad did save him.
Did you start to ask yourself if you were going crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth, Emily.
Well, I'm trying to remember back. I do have moments when I question that in myself, similar to what you've experienced with the paper towels. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think in this moment there was a lot of innocence in my discovery and exploration. And I think at this point, I was in more curiosity than I was in judgment. And that's
fair enough.
Yeah, that's really important to open up the gateways, because as soon as we do go into judgment, the energy shifts and changes. And I don't think I would have been able to continue to get information if I was judging it. We've got to be curious. And as all of our psychic skills open up, I want you guys to remember that when you're having experiences and encounters, it's a new operating system that we need to learn, but curiosity over judgment is the thing, right?
How did you start to, because if you're already doing meditation and Tai Chi and obviously you're looking into consciousness and into self, but that's a long road into consciousness is a big word, right? It's a huge subject, but one has to start to understand this. And I'm getting better. I know a lot more than I did, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but it's a long road in front of me. This is the road that you are now on.
Yes. And I hear you. There's definitely a lot to learn along the way, right? And this is one of the reasons that I love the Akashic Records, is because I feel like it's the mechanism where we can not only access all the intelligence that we're looking for in terms of the different avenues of curiosity we have, there's also there's a synthesis that begins to happen within our bodies, our minds. That's my experience and my notice in the students that I work with that use the Akashic Records, is that it helps us to embody the wisdom, which accelerates our journey rather than just knowing the aha moments, right? Because all of this stuff, it really is, it's fascinating to learn, yet we got a job to do right now here on the planet all together as we're moving evolution forward, right? And so we got to figure out what all of this cool stuff means in the now moment and how it gets to apply to our lives here on the planet to make them better.
You know what's funny to me?
What?
You've been at this for a long time, and your work with consciousness and the Akashic Records, you get it, and you know what the journey is. This is what's funny to me. I always know when somebody has started to cross the Rubicon and figuring out that consciousness is the basis to everything. And this is how I find out.
Okay.
You'll have some UFO researcher, some face, right? And they'll be talking about whistleblowers or stars or propulsion systems and galaxies and the whole mechanics of everything. And then one day they go, I think consciousness is what drives the UFO thing. And as soon as they do, I'm like, man, everybody eventually lands here, right? But when somebody says that in the moment like that, this is an instant revelation. They haven't been working on this for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, right? And when I see that, I'm like, man, you're new to the subject. You don't have the right to comment on anything if you're just landing on that now, you don't have a foundation. And I don't think I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Because those that are a part of this, that's a decades old realization. You're not planting a flag on something new.
Yeah, well, some people are behind the curve, Jimmy. They're not as cool. Not everybody can be as cool as we are, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it because civilizations out there are just more advanced and more evolved than us, and they have figured out that consciousness curve, and we are not quite there yet as a species? You think that's the case?
Oh, 100%. The fact that we're still warring amongst ourselves is, evidence for, and not to say that there aren't conflicts or, need for mediation in the higher realms in terms of what's happening there. But that's one of the reasons that we have so far to go, is that we cannot hold the frequency of peace enough yet in our field. And that's our journey as humans, though. It's also a very challenging journey because we are subject to so much distortion in this world when we incarnate here on this planet that makes it really challenging. And that's part of the game that we're playing here, is can we mature to a place where we can master our own peace?
Isn't it fascinating that 50 years, it's almost 60 years ago, the peace sign was all over society, right? The talk of love, the summer of love, this give peace a chance, the music, the and it's like it never even happened, where we can't even get out of our own way. Why? I don't understand that.
Well, the cosmic laws also show us that we go through cycles, right? And if we haven't had an experience where we're close to that and we can call up the sense memory within our being, it's time for another dose. Although astrologically, we're getting it right now. We're going into Lionsgate. We've got crazy astrology this year that is inviting, identity shifts within each one of us that are just begging each one of us to step into our highest potential and live a life of joy and connection and inspiration and legacy here on the planet. And that's available too. Obviously, there's also hell on earth that is available right now, folks, if you choose to choose it. this heaven is available for us as well, though. So it's, in essence, it's another golden age that we get to experience, Jimmy.
Do you remember what I used to say? I should say it more again. I walk around with flowers hanging out of my pocket. I used to say that, right? I just, we are going to grow out of this. Everything is going to change. That's it. I'm not, I just don't want to have negativity. And I kind of look back at those statements, and I meant every word of it. I won't change any of it. But considering where we are now, it almost seems silly to me that I have such high hopes for this planet. It's like, man, I don't even know if we deserve it.
Well, that's one perspective, friend.
Yeah.
So what I would just say is that one thing that definitely about me is that I am here as a frequency keeper for the Pollyanna timeline, the golden age, this, live your dreams, and we get to experience it here. And my life has been, I've had a fair amount of challenge and things in my life that have invited me. I'll say that they haven't caused me to look at life or society and say, wow, they don't deserve it. Or because ultimately that's a reflection of what we feel about ourselves inside.
Do you remember Elvis Costello?
No.
Okay. Elvis Costello had a song. He's a punker, but he's more of a musicians today. But he had a song called "What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding." And I remember in my heavy metal self listening to that song and those lyrics coming out of a punk dude back then. And he was right. What's so funny about that? Why don't people take it serious? Why is it that? And so over the years, for a couple of thousand years of recorded history, and before that, peace was always talked about. It was always talked about. And it just seems like we've let millennia go by and we're still manufacturing killing machines. And that's the part. So when you get into the Akashic Records, is it something that we need to utilize to change our future and to change us? And if that is the case, how do we do it?
I think so. I mean, I think it's a tool that's available for us. Do we have to use it? We have free will. We're not required to do anything, right? Although from a fundamental level, like whether we call it the Akashic Records or not, this is a living library planet, which means there is consciousness, there is data available in every speck of everything around us. Okay. And our student souls incarnate here if we're lucky enough, and not a lot of people think they're very lucky to be here right now. I do. Pollyanna, Miss Cheerleader,
I'm happy.
right? Yeah, we got VIP seats right now. But if we're lucky enough to be here, this is the game that we get to play is recognizing how the game works, right? And there are cycles, there are ebbs and flows to energy. We're in a process, an opportunity right now where we're waking up and more light is coming into the planet. Now, this has to do with a galactic alignment with our solar system aligning to galactic center and where we're proceeding through the different astrological houses in terms of the precession of equinox, right? But we're aligned to galactic center being bombarded with photons of light that are waking us up. Now, there is more darkness that comes up during this time because it's a time of awakening, awareness. And we are seeing the darkness come up. And Jimmy, yeah, it's there. Those thoughts of we don't deserve it. There are times when I think that about myself. And I know sometimes I notice very subtle negative self-talk. And sometimes I notice very overt negative self-talk and ultimately how I'm talking to myself, how I'm perceiving, like this is creating a story that I'm showing up and participating in, right? So that's the first place to really create mastery is within ourselves, right? And so that's where the Akashic Records brings an opportunity for us to work on a microcosmic level and really understand ourselves. And there are places where the human, like, we don't love ourselves. And
no, finish the thought.
The records help us tap in and understand the areas where we have weaponized our own energy against ourselves. And the only reason that we are experiencing the breakdown in the world that we are right now is because it's a reflection of what's going on inside of the human as we move far away from those times of love and connection.
I don't want to spend time talking about this, but I just want to mention this. 5 weeks, the last month, no, let's just say this, the last week, the last 7 days is the first chance for me to catch a breath at life. The previous month, I had a series of things that happened that were a big deal. And it was exhausting to me. First, I had the bus accident in Peru. And that was horrific. It was a nightmare. While that was going on, which you know, I think about that every day. I then got a lung infection while in Peru. I couldn't breathe. Had nothing to do with the accident. I didn't know what was going on with my lungs. And then right after that, just as I was leaving, finally got a flight out of Peru, was having problems breathing. Physically, I was injured from the crash. Mentally, I'm traumatized from the crash and going through everything that everybody went through on that in that accident. Then I get a frigging inner ear infection, and which started on the last day of Peru. I get back to the United States and I fall asleep. I wake up 2 days later. I can't breathe. My right ear is bubbling and in pain. And suddenly I have a temperature and I'm in body aches. I have to fly to Boulder in 2 days. I go back to sleep. I wake up 2 days later. I felt a little better. My lungs are still messed up. I haven't been to the doctor yet. I then go to Boulder. I am really sick. And I have all of this trauma from the accident. I go to Boulder. Now, that's a week later. I go to Boulder. I somehow make it through the taping of Beyond Belief. And I get back here. I go to see a doctor about my lungs. I'm put on antibiotics. I then go see 2 days later, I see another doctor about my ear, which is also antibiotics. So now I'm full of antibiotics. I'm in pain. I'm sick. And I've got this accident. Monday rolls around. Now it's 2 weeks later. And what happens? I wake up with a toothache. Now I have to go. I'm told I have to have a root canal. And that it's this and this. I got to see a surgeon, which I did do. And I went through that and dealing with a lung infection, the ears, a root canal, and a bus accident in 2 weeks. It was like, man, I can't catch a break, man. And my ass has got a cut in it. My knees are bruised from the accident. I can't walk right. 3 weeks later, I'm like, man, I'm not getting any better. My lungs are. My point to all of this is that I went through 4 weeks. I did not start feeling better till 7 days ago. Now my lungs are okay. My ear's okay. My tooth is now, I had 2 operations on it. And the accident is now 5 weeks ago, and I'm not replaying it in my mind all day. It's just a couple of times a day. That cycle of dealing with life's pressure is enough for anybody else to tap out. I still did fade to black. I've changed my perspective on life a little bit. but when you go through that kind of trauma, does the Akashic Records guide you through that? Does it tell you that these things are happening? Does it tell you why these things are happening? And should I pay more attention to it? Should I have called you earlier? Right?
Yes, good telepathy. I'm like, Jimmy, why are you just now calling me?
Yeah. But it was, and I hit it. So what did you say earlier? Right? You swap, right? Well, that's what I did. I was like, man, I can't tell everybody about all of this. I want people to be happy when they come to the show. I don't want them to see somebody up here like, man, I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? I'm ready to tap out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like that. It was crazy.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I did not know that you had a bus accident while you were in Peru.
I don't want to talk about it. You see, I didn't talk about it.
Yeah. I see people in the comments too. They're like, what? A crash?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so lungs are sadness. Anything that's, we're storing sadness when the lungs come in. Ears can be balance. And I can also tell you, everyone I know, from my kids to my clients to myself included, my friends, are all in a state of big transition and initiation right now. Right. And it sounds like that there's, some powerful lessons for your soul coming in. Having to hold that in your mind or in your being, Jimmy, it feels so lousy to me as your friend. And the replay in the mind is so challenging. You might remember this. I'll share with your audience out there. Like, my middle son was carjacked and kidnapped in 2023. And we got him back. He's okay. And I was spared as his mom, knowing like when it was actually happening. So that suffering I wasn't a part of. Although very traumatic. Once we got him back and we were in the emergency room and the doctors were checking him out, I can see his mind is just like cranking it, right? Like probably like dissecting every move, from her jumping in the car, holding rebar to his neck, tying his wrists together, holding his foot on the gas. He told me later, Mom, I thought when I was going to get on the freeway, because she wanted him to drive from Reno to Oregon, I was going to drive right by the police station. And then once I turned on the freeway, I realized I missed it. Like, I'm feeling all of this panic in him. Mm-hmm. And he's telling me, I could have done this and I could have done this. And the records interjected in that moment and spoke through me. Made me emotional and said, hey, son, I know it felt like you didn't know what was happening and you were out of control. But the truth is, your intuition was guiding you every step of the way. You played every card correctly because everyone is alive. And you were a hero. You and that woman had a soul contract. She actually has an opportunity now to get her life back together. She was sex trafficked, stolen from her home in Oregon, brought to Reno, taken away from her family. She was strung out on drugs when she took my son, right? So not to say that she's innocent. I'm just saying she was a victim as well. Right. And because of how everything played out, she gets an opportunity now to go back and be a mom. And once we went through all of the court hearings and she became sober through that process, she apologized profusely and thanked him. And so the universe is always conspiring for our good. What came through me when I told him, hey, you played every card correctly and everybody's alive because of you, it rewrote his story from being a victim to being a hero. And it mitigated a massive amount of the PTSD, not all of it, but a lot of it. My guides also got really clear with me. And they said, because my mind kept going to, what if this happened? And then I see him crash and die in my mind, Jimmy, like, what the fuck? Why? Right. I don't want to be haunted and tormented by that. That's suffering for me. And so my guides told me, like, basically, you got to firewall those thoughts. Because it wasn't a firsthand experience, it was easier. I can only imagine it feels almost impossible to firewall those thoughts when it's a firsthand experience. Like, how did you get relief from it?
Well, here, trying to get answers in the moment, like, right after or whatever, nearly impossible. But let me say this. As the accident unfolded, a car had hit his head on and exploded. And I see that I'm in the front of the bus on the top with Brian Forrester. And I see that. I see the whole thing. And I was like, what? Because it happened like that. It's like, what? And I stand up and I have my hand on the windshield of the bus. And I'm looking down, and the bus then goes off of the free. I see everything. I'm standing in the windshield. The bus goes off, launches into the air off this hill, and goes nose first and crashes with me watching. And my hand is up on the windshield. Bus flips. We end up on our side. Okay. Enough of that. The injuries and everything that, I'm not going to get into that. It was horrific. We had 32 people on that bus, and we're in the middle of nowhere. What is life? What is the universe? What do you extrapolate out of that? What is that experience? What is what is, and I'm telling you, immediately after the accident, going through a series of hospitals with everybody, we're in the middle of nowhere. And that was just a total crazy adventure with all these injured people. And I'm not a doctor and I don't know what's going on. All I know is we're just trying to save everybody and somehow get them into pickup trucks and a couple of ambulances and get them somewhere, right? We're in the middle of the desert, high desert. Mm-hmm. And so I'm asking myself that question. What is it that, what am I supposed to learn from that? And so I've had a lot of time to just go back and reflect and just, try to seek those answers. I've landed on a couple of things.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, yeah, what did you learn?
One of the things that was that a few of us, there's 32 people on the bus. I'm going to say maybe 10 of us out of the 32 could walk. Our injuries, everybody was injured, but our injuries weren't enough to keep us from walking. So we had to assist everybody else. We had to get them out of the bus. We had to, and nobody was a doctor or anything. But this is what was amazing. Nobody lost their shit. Where in that crazy moment, and I'm talking about broken bones, gashes, heads, this, that, arms, legs, internal, shoulder, crazy shit.
Yes.
That to see.
Okay.
Nobody lost it.
Okay.
We all when it comes to this thing, this in our DNA, this helping thing just surfaces. That was amazing to me.
You activated DNA. You want to know what the records have to say about that right now? I can tell you why this happened or what I'm picking up. It's not going to be a complete why it happened.
Sure. Yeah.
So you coming on and talking about that moment, that crisis moment where everybody held their peace, that's the initiation. Once we recognize that we can do it in that space, we can hold that frequency. Thank you, Jimmy, for you and everybody else who went through that for the sake of the planet. Every single one of you that held your peace, you activated a piece of the collective DNA so the rest of us can do it too. And look at you using your influence and your voice. You got a new identity out of it, friend, because the old version of you, right, wouldn't have showed up and talked about these things. But this is truly, this story will change humanity a million times more than the cool UFO stories that you and I will talk about later on. This is the activation. This is the work. And you and all of those people are now holding a new bar, helping the planet hold a new bar collectively of holding the peace.
There was this kid, his name was Teddy. He was 15 and like 6'4", by the way, right? I don't know what's up with kids today, but he's 15. And here he's got blood coming down his face, right? And him and I were the last two people off that bus. Him and I got everybody out of that bus. And that kid was amazing. He's 15, man. 15. And it was under 15 years old. And it's just like, what an amazing kid. I he was cool. I kept bothering him on the tour before that. Man, why aren't you playing basketball? No, man, I'm into whatever. I'm like, dude, basketball. How can you be 6'4" and 15 and not play basketball every single day? Your parents need to have an island in a couple of years, man. Go and here he is being a superhero.
Yes. Look, how do you think that will change the trajectory of his life?
Completely.
Right? Now that he got to be the superhero that day with you, and that you showed up and you were his steward walking through that. And I know you, Jimmy. I can almost guarantee you that everybody stayed calm because you were holding the frequency of calm.
I look back at it. It was me, but I'm just saying, I look back, there was a moment, I'm not going to get into details, but as we got everybody off of the bus finally, and they're all laid out in the grass, I was like, oh shit, the bus drivers. So I walk around in the front of the bus and I see that. And okay, so just whatever your imagination wants to imagine, that's what was going down. And so I'm on my knees. We get one of the drivers out. He's laying there, and it was bad, like fuck. And I'm on my knees, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm a radio host. And I'm on my knees, and this guy's in shock. You can see his eyes. He's just, it was crazy. And here I am. Finally, a cop shows up in a pickup truck. And he was the first person on the scene. It's like a half hour, 45 minutes later, man. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. And he comes down, big, tall dude, and he's snapping his fingers at me. Right? Not speaking. He's like pointing, and I'm doing what he's telling me to do. My point to all of this is we eventually get him on a thing, and we carry him up the hill. It's just me and him and this girl, Maria. She was really cool. She could walk. She had 2 black eyes. Her face is all messed up, but she's doing her thing. And we get him up the hill in the back of this pickup truck, and the cop drives away. Now, that thought, it plays in my head. Who was that guy that went through all of that? It's crazy. It's crazy. And my mind wants to just push it back and not think about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And here's the other thing, Emily. It really happened. Time or whatever, talking doesn't change. I wish I could just, like it was just a bad dream, but it wasn't. And I've got to figure out a way to take it and to be better. I need to be a better person. I'm human. I've got faults. So, I don't know. It's crazy.
Beautiful. Where are you going to be a better human?
going to be a better Harley rider.
Well, yeah, because I wrote it down. You got a Wedge Extreme and a Mustang seat, you said.
I did.
And the couch is out.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My ass is so happy. Yeah. And then, okay. So now I'm trying to get back. I used to smile a lot. Right. That's all it's hard for me to do that now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Weird. I don't feel happy.
Yeah.
I don't feel happy. It's crazy how that has, and I don't want my funny bone to disappear. I don't want that. So, but hold on, because we're going to head to a break here in a couple of minutes. And when we come back, I want to discuss those paper towels.
Yes.
Because I think all of this is, well, I know that it's all connected. Yep. I just don't know why. Right. And so my goal, and finally over the last 7 days was like, get back into your routine. Get back into your routine. Your core, your routine. Because my routine has just been thrown out the window, completely. And so I'm felt like my routine is back. My lungs, my ears, my tooth. The accident is, a month behind me now. And the friggin' paper towels decide to do a dance on my table.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to dance on your show about this. It's so good. I can't wait to talk about that. It's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. First thing I did.
I'll tell you what's
going on. Is the air conditioning on? I was like, what is the message, man?
Oh yeah, I got it for you. That's after break, right? I'm not going to start letting it rip.
Okay. All right. We'll take our break right now then, because I want the answer. Emily, stay right there. We got a quick 3-minute break, everybody. This is Faded Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back after this short message. Stay with us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to JimmyChurchRadio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself Fadernaut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, kicking off a brand new week here on Fade to Black. But tonight's guest, Emily Harrison, is with us. Let's get straight back to it. Emily, I feel like Ving Rhames in Pulp Fiction, the scene where Bruce Willis breaks in and Ving Rhames is have been violated. And Bruce Willis goes, "Are you okay?" And Ving Rhames goes, "I'm far from fucking okay." That's where people, I ignored probably 500 texts that came in. "Are you okay? Are you?" And getting the text is making me think about it, and I don't want to think about it, and so that's where, so what is it that the universe, because this last 30 days has been a real test. It's
Heck
been
yeah.
a real test. Okay, so what's the word?
Yeah, initiation. I mean, we're all going through initiation. I have friends that are experiencing cancer, and they've been entrepreneurs their whole life, and their businesses are shifting. My brother had an insane Sea-Doo accident. I got shifts and changes happening in my world. Like, I'm moving away from we're all in an initiation of some kind. Okay. So yours is very intense, I will say. And I can also see how you went through a recalibration that changed the way you process reality and changed the nature of the questions that you're asking. This recalibration is an opportunity for a radical identity shift. And I would say, like, it's already a pretty radical identity shift that we get to see from you tonight. So congratulations. Thanks for being so vulnerable with us and sharing. It's cool. It lets us know what's really going on and what it takes to show up on the planet. And you set a bar of humanism that's really important for humanity. And when we ask ourselves the question, why is this good, and frame it in that way, that's how the answers start to flow in from the Akashic Records. So it doesn't surprise me, you being the level of influencer that you are, Jimmy, that your recalibration was so intense, because fundamentally changes the way you question and view your life and society and what's possible. The guides are saying, stay focused on the amazing things that happen and shift and change, like the conversation we had about the young man who's a hero now, and that's a part of his identity from this point forward. The recalibration from your physical body as well. So the lungs releasing the sadness, the balance on the inner ear. Teeth. I actually had a wisdom tooth removed and had dental surgery myself recently. And I studied that from the shamanic and Akashic perspective. Our teeth hold wisdom, data, old paradigms, things that we no longer need get removed, and things that get removed from the bone. It's like something that has been in your way, an obstacle in your way that is now being extracted and removed from your path. So I would say there are a lot of good signs that are happening here in terms of what's necessary for the refinement, the change as we undergo our own personal alchemy. Right. And it's giving ourselves permission to ask these fucked up questions that you're asking. Right. And then make a choice about your future here in humanity. Like, are you going to create heaven on earth and show up and love the precious moments of life and the beauty that's here and the connection and the humanity and uplift that? Or does your mind stay in the suffering, when our mind spins in loops like that, it's actually a fourth dimensional technology. It's called Archon energy, and it's not part of our divine blueprint. It's not how we're wired to operate. When our vibrational frequency gets low, we can be manipulated by these interdimensional entities, I'll call them, right? So you're very susceptible to that looping energy, right? So you are like, I can see how what you're going through right now, Jimmy, is metaphorically what humanity is going through on a bigger scale of
100%.
Yeah, right. Seeing how effed up it is, and then making a choice about how we're going to move forward and what we're going to create. And we know from the 7 Hermetic principles that our thoughts create reality. Right?
One of the thoughts that one of the things that I've resolved is exactly what you're talking about. In that, I will never talk about the details of the accident on the air. No, I just won't do that. But one of the things that, and one of the reasons why I didn't talk on the air about my lungs and my ear, and I think I made a joke about the root canal, and everything, was just, everybody goes through this. What? Am I the only? No, I'm not the only. No. And I don't want to make it at all about me, because it's not. And that's one of the things. If I turn around and say this to somebody, they will come back with, well, yeah, but my dog died this month, and last month my wife, and the month before that. So everybody's going,
Yeah. You're not a special snowflake because you're going through it.
Not at all.
Here's why you're a special snowflake, Jimmy. Here's what everybody's not doing, is talking about it and asking the question, what did I learn? And because you have a voice and there's an opportunity for you to share from that perspective, it's very beautiful for you to let us behind the scenes into humanity and your perspective through it, because it gives us another option that we might not have had before, and we listen to you.
I understand that. And that does shoulder a lot of responsibility. I totally get that. For some reason, I can't do it. At least right now.
Fair.
I can't.
How about this? Do you want to be able to do that?
No, man. I never want to think about it again. I never want to think about it again. It's like that. It was insane.
I hear you.
The whole thing was insane. Like, it really happened. I'll share one thing with you. This is how crazy it was. I'm sitting, it's a double-decker bus. I'm sitting on the top in the front, and there's 3 chairs there, 3 captain's chairs. It's me on the left, Brian Forrester in the middle, and Gustavo Morales, the tour coordinator, on the right. And I see off in the distance, it's Andes Mountains. We're at 15,000 feet. We're way up in the Andes, approaching the border of Bolivia, middle of nowhere. Literally the middle of nowhere. And at 15,000 feet, nobody lives up there. Nothing. You know what I mean? It's the middle of nowhere. So anyway, we're on the Song Stretcher Freeway, and I see in the distance a car. Okay, we're alone on the freeway, and here comes a car way off, and it's coming towards us. And I kind of see it. This car, and we're talking. We're talking about whatever. And then I see the car change lanes into our lane. I watch it. And I'm like, okay. Now I've got a second or two to understand what's happening, because he's approaching us at 70 miles an hour. We're approaching him at 70. You know what I mean? It's like, and he's in our lane. And right as I was like, huh? I put my arm out in front of Brian like this, and the car just drives straight into us and explodes. That crazy. That stuff's not supposed to happen like that. And the most absurd, crazy, imaginative thought that you can have actually happened.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. It was just the whole thing, and so that it won't stop. It's on rewind, replay. Just yeah. And Here's the crazy, if there's a nightmare side to this whole thing. When you see stuff like that in the movies, the big explosions, no. When that car hit us and exploded, it was a thud and then silence. It was that's what it sounded like. I don't know, yeah. When the car exploded and I stood up and looked and and I looked, it's gone. Of course it is, right? It's not even there. And then the rest happened after that. That's it's like, it sounds impossible. So I don't know. Nothing will change the fact that happened. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. The only option that you have at this point is what story do you tell yourself about it?
I know.
Right.
I know.
And that's where like incredible discipline comes in, along with, and I'm like, in terms of PTSD and massive trauma that people go through, I also want to say I'm not a specialist in that. So any information that's coming in is coming in through the higher states and higher places of wisdom and guidance. But the meaning that will come out of this, Jimmy, will be the meaning that you assign to this based on what story you tell yourself about what happened. And
well,
it's a heavy ask.
Yeah.
Big ask from the universe that your soul signed up for. Yeah.
Am I in a weird way? I'm thankful. I'm thankful that we came together as a family, those 32 people on the bus. And that could have been mentally that could have spun out of control. It had every reason to, but it didn't. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the whatever spiritual divine intervention that happened that kept it from like something seriously bad, and it was bad. I mean, and here's trying to convince myself, and I want everybody to listen to what Emily and I are talking about, because again, I'm not unique. Emily's not unique, but these are things that life deals everybody. That's it. I'm not unique. But to get back to the States, that first morning, I'm in my kitchen and I'm making an espresso, right? My little gift to myself, right? And I'm making the espresso and I'm looking out my back window in the kitchen. And I said to myself, why am I so lucky that I can stand in my kitchen and make an espresso? I mean, my knees were black and blue and my left ass had a bruise about this big with a gash across it. But I was home. And how many people on that bus were still in hospitals in Peru? A lot. And I was able to get home. So I was thankful, and I thanked everything that it just didn't go something very divine, just like the whole thing. And I know it sounds strange to say because that doesn't change the accident and people were horrifically injured, but it could have been so much, much more worse. And the other thing is, here's the other life lesson. Reach out to the Akashic Records. Ask about this.
Okay.
what's the deal with the driver in the car? Did he fall asleep? Was it intentional?
Yeah, that's
Was
I
he
can we talk about that
was he
on
pissed
here?
off? Was he drunk? Did he fall asleep? I that, and we'll never know. We'll never know. I never found out how many people were in that car. I mean, everybody in that car is dead. But I did see the car briefly, and it was the back tire is all that was, like it was literally a foot and a half long. And but yeah, it's like this big unanswered question. What was going on with that? Why? I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you asked me to reach out to the Akashic Records about that. Here's what I noticed when you first mentioned that car, and then it came over into the lane. I instantly wondered if it was an intentional move to take you guys out because you're an influencer on the planet. I have experienced like some real raw good versus evil, like wondering if they're trying to take me out, Jimmy. And interestingly enough, like everything means something. The story that I told about my son is one of those times when I feel like, while I can see the soul contract that played out between my son and the lady who took him, I can also see there was a moment where, if you guys are familiar with MK Ultra and mind control opportunities that there are for split second decision making and things to shift and change in other humans, I often wondered if she wasn't used as a pawn in that way to set up this circumstance that maybe takes my kid out, right? Because let me tell you something, if my kid goes down, the chances of me showing up and talking about the Akashic Records and inspiring people to tap in and do their work, and clear the density from their field and get to a place of peace, I'm not going to show up and do that.
Yeah.
And it was a back-to-back season. 1 month later, after this, my middle kid had that experience. My oldest son also had an experience with split-second decision-making that caused an accident that changed his life and kept him in a hospital for 2 months. So, and I had the opportunity as a mom going through that PTSD, a single mom trying to keep my business together, trying to show up. I'm in the hospital every single day and probably making those videos you talked about, Jimmy, on the way to the hospital, right? And it's the story that we tell about it that makes it whether if the light or the dark is actually going to win. I don't know that it really matters for me to believe or not that there was some sort of a target against me. It's crossed my mind. Ultimately, what I know is also true is that we have soul karma that is involved. So the person in that vehicle had soul karma involved with each one of you. And
100%.
Right?
I've thought about that. I've totally thought about that.
And so now in my opinion, while there's curiosity on why did this happen, landing on any specific thing that's not going to cause us to be in more gratitude or honor the connection of humanity that happened or honor the divinity that stepped in and held a higher frequency for the most benevolent outcome are fruitless and pointless. I see how we can be curious, but the job is to focus the healing and focus our own.
And that's what I'm grappling. That's what I'm grappling with. I want to address that. This just came in. It says, how do you know, question from, how do you know that the data is being downloaded from the Akashic Records? So we're going to come back to that. I think that's a great question.
It is a good question.
The part of that I think is so important, and it applies to everybody, is that don't allow this kind of stuff to win. I think it's one of the most paramount things. Like, okay, it feels like I could satisfy myself in saying, I have the right, after all of this, to just tap out.
Choose suffering and to stay in your suffering.
Right,
Yes, you do.
right. And that's when it wins. So that's not how you face life. That's one of the things that I've grappled with and I've answered with myself. That's why I continue doing this show. That's why I flew to Boulder and did Beyond Belief and came back here and continued with Fade to Black and everything else, because if I chose to, and I do have the excuse. I don't think anybody would go, no, I don't understand. No, I think everybody would, but that's not how you treat life. And so that's definitely. And before I say, the small stuff doesn't matter anymore, I ignore that. Well, you should do that anyway, right? So that doesn't really come into play, but it is certainly, I don't know how, but it certainly changed my perspective. I don't know how yet.
And that's fair. Like you're still very much you're coming out of the survival mode. Right. And you're moving into, so you're undergoing alchemy is what you're undergoing, Jimmy. And alchemy is something that all humans are designed to do. When we eat food, we do it. The food breaks down and becomes a part of us. Alchemy, this is the shifting of something from a corruptible state into stability, lead into gold. It's the transmutation of something that is dense into something that is lighter. And there are 7 specific stages of it. Okay. And we said that we talk a little bit about mystery school stuff here tonight. The great alchemists, the great magicians, the mystery school initiates where this knowledge has been preserved have broken it down into 7 stages. All right. Stage 1, calcination. That's an explosion. Literally, figuratively, something happens in your life or what you experienced here. Like you experience the nature of the catalyst that's brought everything into the field now. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is the chaotic stage. There's debris everywhere. You're making sense of everything. It's not the time really to make any decisions about how you're going to feel about it. You're in the presence of the chaos. At this point, you know what you need? You need a good cry. We go from the fire element into stage 2, the water element, right? And so then what does water do? Water takes us into stage 3, the separation. And this is where you're in right now, Jimmy. So separation phase 3, that's the density. That's the bullshit, the terrible part that happened on the bottom, right? Then there's the neutrality. Actually, I would say maybe the density on the bottom. Let me do a take 2 on that. The density on the bottom is this nightmarish residue that loops in your mind, that keeps you in a state of hell as your humans processing. That would be the density on the bottom. The neutrality is the situation. That's what happened. It happened. Like you said, it's not going to change. That is. Then there's the truth or the essence on top. That's the humanity. That's the connection. That's the honoring of the divine that stepped in. So stage 4 of alchemy, if you continue through the process, because you can abandon it all here. And if people do that, you're basically left with the sludge. But if you want to keep moving in refinement, what we do is we scoop the truth off the top and we take the truth over here in a new laboratory and you apply gentle heat to the truth, the purity, the essence of the truth. And then as you begin to apply that heat to the truth, what happens? The evaporation stage. Okay, so it moves from the stage of the essence, the truth, moves up into the evaporation, the vapor. It moves up into the heavens. It mingles with the gods. Our mind does, the essence of our thoughts, right? And then we get to that last stage where it rains back down, those God thoughts, our thoughts that have mingled with the divine and see things differently, now rain back down to earth, to our bodies, to our perception, and become part of our operating system and how we perceive. Okay, so you're about stage 3 right now, Jimmy. Stage 3 moving into stage 4. You got this, buddy. Show us how it's done, guy. Come on.
I want to get to stage 3.5, which is
Okay.
heavy drugs. Heavy drugs. That's the stage I want.
You can come out. That's an option.
You know, it. I haven't. I should. I'll tell you what. I made a mistake. I called my friend Amy and told her about this last week. Today's Monday. So I'm going to say it was a week ago, Monday, Tuesday, right in there. I took a gummy. No. It wasn't good. And so, no, it wasn't. And I thought I was going to numb it, and just like, watch a funny movie and escape from, no, man.
Yeah.
And I called Amy the next day. I said, man, I took a gummy last night, man. I'll never do it again. She goes, what happened? I said, it turned into a nightmare. Oh man, I got way too deep into my head. Yeah, I didn't dig it. I did not dig it.
You know what? Next time, my friend, because there are plant medicines that can be amazing for PTSD. And earlier I saw somebody talking about psilocybin, and I don't know if it said DMT,
which is excellent.
Yep. Yeah. First of all, muscle test anything that you feel like called to use on yourself and just see. Do you know how to muscle test?
No, but I'll come over to your house.
It goes like this. And you're like, what? Huh?
Okay, I've just lost control of the show.
All right, yeah. So guys, you like put your index finger and thumb together. I kind of back it up with my middle finger too. And then you use this finger to move through. Let's see, where can I line this up so you guys can see it better? See this? And then my finger through. Okay. Now, my subconscious mind is going to speak here. If it's a true statement, my hand's going to stay nice and strong, and my finger is going to stay locked in there. If I speak an untrue statement, my subconscious mind is going to know that, and it's going to feel it's not going to stay locked. So, like, for example, am I Emily? Yes. Am I Jimmy? Am I Emily? Am I Jimmy?
Really?
So it shows us a yes and a no. So you can say, you want to calibrate first. Show me a yes. Show me a no. Show me a yes. Show me a no. You can also use your body as a pendulum. You can sit really still or stand and calibrate and just like let your body get very still. And then eventually it's going to, you say, show me a yes. And generally the body leans forward for a yes. Not everybody. Some people lean backward to the side. That's why you want to calibrate first. Then you say, show me a no. And my body usually leans backward. And if I want to muscle test or like do a quick yes or no check and see what my body's response is, that's how I do it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Fun fact.
Oh. Let's get back to the okay. The paper towels.
Yeah.
How do we see? That's why, it's too easy for me to just get you
got a lot in your field right now, friend.
Yeah. Okay.
You're doing great.
So the paper towels.
Okay. And let me just say one more thing. The fact that you talk about this, it makes it important everybody's experienced trauma. We need to talk about it, and we need help and support and breath work and meditation and being able to ask these questions. So yeah. Good job setting the bar for the rest of us. Paper towels. All right. Oh, this is so cool. So a couple things that I've been noticing. First of all, telekinesis is a thing. We can definitely move things with our mind. I thought that I felt like I could move the trees leaves when I was a kid. We practiced this at my Mount Shasta immersion last year. So every year I take seekers who want to train in these metaphysical, esoteric aspects of how our consciousness gets to work. We train together on the mountain, and we all practice telekinesis. Some people were really good at it. Some were terrible. Everybody got better by the end of our time together. So this is something that's becoming, more and more real and more tested. Now, Jimmy, as you went through this recalibration, what I was getting was that your awareness allowed you to hold a connection of oneness with the paper towel so that as you moved your physical body, it responded to your movements. And then very consciously, as you continued that conversation, testing it to see if it would move, you held that connection of oneness, and it continued to reveal to you that you are truly one and connected with this paper towel, which we know is the truth of the universe, right? Now, we also know that there is Maya, there is illusion that causes, and there is density on the planet that has caused us to forget. This is why it's such a cool time to be here, is because we're in the remembering. And this stuff is happening more and more and more. I saw Chris Bledsoe, our friend from Contact in the Desert, teaching kids how to stick forks up to the wall and having them stick on the wall.
Are you suggesting that I moved the paper towels?
Yeah, I think you became one with the paper towel, and as you moved your toes, it moved. And then your conscious was like, okay, well, is it going to move again? And then it responded to you. Yes, it is going to move again because everything truly is one. And I love that it caused you to find your edge. Your heart started to pound.
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar experience on Friday night. You said this happened on Saturday, right?
This happened on Saturday.
Yeah. So can I share the UFO story that happened to me on Friday? Because the theme is like exactly the freaking same.
Yeah. What happened?
Oh, Jimmy, it was the best one ever. And like I've had some crazy encounters. I've even in the last month, I had an incredible encounter in Panther Meadows. I posted about it online and I got video of it. So you guys can see the video if you go back to my social media pages. And then I had another encounter in my backyard a couple weeks ago. On Friday night, I'm talking to the producer of my docuseries. So, I'm making a docuseries about the work that happens in Mount Shasta. And the producer and I are on the phone, and he's done the CE5 with me. This is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, where through the Akashic Records and raising our consciousness, we tap in with the extraterrestrial being. So I'm talking with him on the phone. He's done this before. It's just ship after ship after ship in the sky. And so I'm also telling him these last two encounters that I had, the one in Panther Meadows and the one in my backyard, my first instinct when I saw them was to be like, hey, come on down. Like, I see you. Let's connect. Whereas before, that would have taken my breath away, and I wouldn't have thought to have that moment of response of say, hey, come on down. And sure. I was praising myself for the bravery and how far I've gotten, right? And so I'm talking to my producer. I'm like, hey, let's try it out with the next one that comes by. Let's call it in. And so, Jimmy, the next one comes by, and I'm like, all right, I make the telepathic contact. I say, hey, come on down and check things out. And no kidding, and I have questioned my sanity on this one. I see it from a pinpoint of light going across the sky to stopping, coming towards me, growing bigger and bigger from a pinpoint of light into somewhere between a golf ball and a tennis ball. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's night, right? But far bigger than it started.
What color was it?
What color was it? This one was white and had a little gold in it.
Okay.
Notice I said this one. So it's coming towards, I can feel it like there's a little orange maybe in it too. My heart is pounding and I'm saying to, is this really happening? Oh my God. You feel, and we're talking back and forth. And I say, I'm getting scared. And as soon as I say I'm getting scared, like I'm at my edge, I thought I was doing great. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I don't know about this.
Right.
As soon as I say I'm getting scared, it backs off. Slowly, then dims quickly into a pinpoint of light and disappears. And I'm like, holy, did that really just happen? And I'm like, you heard me? And he's like, yep, it really happened. It really happened. I'm like, all right, well, I want another chance. I'm bummed out that I got afraid. Let me do it again. So we wait for the next one to come by. Same thing. I make the telepathic contact. I say, come on down. It happens again. Jimmy. Although this one, it's slower. It's not quite as aggressive. And still my heart started to pound. Yeah. And I said, please note this because this one is so crazy. I will second guess myself in the morning that this even happened. And talking about it helps it to not go away, helps us to, really create the opportunity for conversation and invitation for what gets to happen next. So what I've been doing is recognizing, first of all, my human nervous system, it's subject to shit. I got to get used to new paradigms. Your nervous system has just undergone a radical trauma experience. It's got to recalibrate. We've got to honor our technology, this beautiful God conscious technology that we've been gifted as humans. We've really got to understand how it works and be tender and sensitive with ourselves while holding ourselves to a high bar of, do hard things out there. I'm not saying, wuss out on life, but we do need to be tender and sensitive to ourselves as we're growing. And so my ask has been, let me just start with the introduction. Like, I do want this contact with the UF, with our extraterrestrial friends. And I also recognize the fear is a big deal, you all, because fear is basically, it's negative energy that controls us. Just like Jimmy showing up and, talking about things and creating an opportunity for us to learn together. If you were to tell a story that ignited fear, that would be so irresponsible, because all of that fear could be ultimately used against us.
That's right.
Right? So
for sure.
Yeah. So the extraterrestrials don't want us pulsating with fear. It just makes us more susceptible to control. So what I've asked is, let me just start easy with an introduction that feels good. Maybe it's going to feel like it's in dream time. And let's keep going. Let's take this relationship slow, guys. I like it. I'm into it. But you got to buy me dinner first. Okay.
Yeah. I'll always buy you dinner.
Thank you, Jimmy.
But yeah, continue. This is very interesting.
Well, I mean, so what I was able to notice was, one, there was very conscious contact and interaction. I can notice the same thing that you were experiencing with the paper towel, right? It was most definitely responding to your thoughts, your movements, your questions, right? It also caused you to question your reality. Now, another thing that I've noticed is that since CERN shut off the Large Hadron Collider, Electron Collider, that has it's what part of what that was doing was stabilizing lower frequency timelines and making it actually harder for us to break through the Maya, the illusion, and really experience the true heaven on earth. Now that thing is off, we're going to start seeing more and more and more. Like, the veils are thin, the vibration is high. This is the truth that has been suppressed from us. And we've got to move this from a state of, oh crap, either fear or awe and wonderment, into normalcy, right? This is normal. And our nervous systems are going to and how cool that we get to, because someday, and you guys have experienced maybe getting your driver's license, how cool that was at first. And then it gets normal and you don't care, right? That's how evolution works. This is a time where we get to remember this, like, how cool. It's not going to last forever. Soon we're going to look back and like, yeah, that's old hat when I used to move the paper towel with my feet. Embrace it while it's here and recognize that when it's happening to you out there, everybody, this is your initiation moment where you get to rewrite the program of what becomes normal for you and experience the awe and wonderment and all of the beauty of being in human form and the uncomfortability of changing from one state to another. This is what it looks like. Congratulations, we're doing it.
Yeah. I love that. I have a Pandora's box though.
Okay.
So this is my Pandora's box. Remember when you introduced me at Contact? This past Contact. It was wonderful, right? Okay. So I go up on that stage and
after you got out of the DeLorean.
Yes, out of a DeLorean. And everybody in the audience this is my Pandora's box, is thinking about the bus accident, Jimmy. And I don't want that. Like, how's he going to act? How is he going to be? What do we, is he different? Has he changed? I don't want to be sideshow dude. So that's one Pandora's box. And I think that that's an okay, safe zone to be in. I don't want to be that guy. So don't be that guy. Right.
Yeah.
And wrestle control of that. So if the audience is thinking that, like right now, they're listening to this and thinking that, well, don't be that guy. That's the first thing. Here's the second Pandora's box moment as you say these things. What if ET gets here from the future and they go, you know what? You've been chasing rainbows and unicorns and peace and love, but shit just don't get better. You have to work at it and work for it, but it's never going to happen. That's my Pandora's box. I mean, what if that is life? Like it's never, you don't get to the top of the mountain and start going downhill on the other side, that it's always climbing.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have to master our skills to become aware in the now moment, because the now moment is really all that we have. And a bunch of now moments add up to a journey. And every now moment we get to choose. If we are creating heaven on earth and you're telling yourself a great story about this journey and the awe and the wonderment and the magic, it is real, right? And actually, who cares if you even get to the destination if all you have is the now moment and we're truly making heaven on. And that's what our technology does. We have the gift of free will perception to perceive whatever we want, and it becomes real.
Why does science constantly try to bum us out? Let me, in that, so you have these brilliant minds, right? These physicists and these scientists, and they go, you know what, man? There is no free will. You just think you have free will, and that's your version of free will, but everything is determined. It's like, why do you want to bum me out?
Well,
why, and there are legions of fans of these rock star, scientists that listen to this. And so now they've established in themselves that there is no free will. That when you go in and you want a cheeseburger instead of a chicken sandwich, and you make up your mind because that's what is going to make you happy in the moment, that you didn't make that decision. Math made that decision for you. And it's like, man, why do you want to squash my mellow?
Okay, so see, here's where the free will comes in, because I agree with you. Cause and effect is a real thing, and everything has a cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. Every cause has an effect. It's a hermetic principle. All right. Here's where you get free will. Are you going to enjoy your cheeseburger or not? Are you going to bitch about everything else that's going on in your life? Like, oh, yum, I love my cheeseburger. Or alternate timeline, oh, I love my chicken tenders. Or your salad, or like whatever it is that you're eating, that your choices are. It's not so much about the thing. It's about you get to assign meaning. Nothing has meaning until we assign it value.
Correct. You know what my favorite insult today is? This is the other thing I learned. You ready?
Yeah.
You're just not agreeing with somebody.
Yeah.
Don't blow it off. Just tell them to go eat a packaged salad. That's what you do. That's what you do. Get it off your chest. But and here's nihilism, a nihilist. When you really look into that, the fundamental core of that is the most bummed out thing, which is nothing matters, right? Life has no meaning. I don't get that. I mean, how how dark of an upbringing did you have that you are, and I don't think you read this and turn into that. I just think that you read it and you know that that's who you are, right? That, you know what I mean? You're not changing. But life is nothing but meaning and love and joy. And that's the quest for all of that is what moves us forward. And so, yeah, there is no free will, life has no meaning, determinist, a reductionist view of things. I don't think that that's how the universe works.
I don't either, although I recognize where how the contemplation of that serves, right? Because ultimately, it's the catalyst that brings about the choice or the light. Like ultimately, the darkness serves the light. And even within the mind of God and the world of all of these possibilities, terrible things happen within that space. And we're still happening within, the world and the mind and the heart of God, right? All of that exists. The darkness exists in the mind of God as well. It's just the light overtakes that darkness. Both the light and the dark are within the light that ultimately wins.
Well, how do you know what is good if you haven't experienced bad?
And that's another Hermetic principle. It's the duality, right? And really understand, it's polarity actually, and understanding that there are opposites and it holds the whole thing in place. And before I studied the 7 Hermetic principles and cosmic laws and really broke them down and dissected them, in literature class, as a senior in high school, we read the Canterbury Tales. And I remember Geoffrey Chaucer talked about the theory of contraries. You can't fully experience one emotion until you've experienced its opposite. That's right. It was like all of a sudden life made sense to me. I was a senior in high school. I'm like, dang, that was good. Right. Because it's just like something clicked that I got it. I got the function or like the structure.
When that shit happened to me, Emily, I was the same age, 2021. I didn't leave my bedroom for like 2 months.
What'd you do?
Like it just messed with me. Like life it made perfect sense. But I was upset with the rest of the world. And I was upset with the lies too as well.
Oh, you know what I did? Dude, I immediately bolted to Hollywood. Like
so did I. No,
yeah, I'm out of here. You mean I'm not held to the confinements of this reality? So long, folks, I'm out.
Yeah, it was just so crazy where this realization, and I was going through some religious things and conspiracy stuff. I was 20 and I had a couple of crazy conspiracies that I used to laugh at that I found were true or partially true, and that messed with me. But aside from all of that, then it just hit me. How, if you are living in a world of bliss and goodness, call it heaven, right? You're living in that, then how do you know what darkness is? So in that world, and this is my thing. I'm telling you, I didn't leave my bedroom, man, for like 2 months. My roommates were sliding pizzas under my door. I didn't come out, man. In that, well, then if you're in this world in heaven, let's just call it heaven so everybody can kind of visualize it. Then there's got to be different degrees of goodness then, right? Well, it's still good, but it's kind of bad. Right? You know what I mean? But how do you know that you're living in a perfect world when you have nothing to compare it to?
Yeah, and that's where the contrast serves us in this plane. And yeah, I do think that there are different degrees of goodness that we can reach. It's calibrated, directly calibrated into our perception. How good of thoughts can you think? How much peace can you, and certainty that we are on the positive timeline and that humanity, comes together as one and we build a beautiful future together. How well can we really hold that frequency?
I don't know. And an example of that would be, this is my twisted mind, I would bet everything that even the Dalai Lama has thought about robbing a bank.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. He just doesn't do it. But certainly he's thought about it, right? To suggest that he hasn't, that's a lie. That's a lie. I bet you he would admit to it.
I bet he would.
Yeah. It's just that you don't act on it. You don't act on it. I used to tell this joke, and I really mean it. So let's say, Emily, you and I were sitting up in the clouds, right? We got a little angel wings on.
Okay.
Right? I know it's not going to happen, but you do have angel wings. Okay. You've got angel wings. And so we're sitting up there and just another beautiful day. And I'm going to turn to you and go, man, this sucks. Let's go break some windows. Today, let's just go throw some bricks through some windows. There's just no way that is true, pure happiness.
I agree.
Follow me? Do you follow me?
Well, I agree with you. Maybe. Well,
I
didn't put the joke yet. What's the punchline?
Yeah. There is no punchline. It's just truth. It's just truth.
True.
But I think.
Well, our souls crave adventure too, and we get bored. Like, we get complacent when things are too good. That's when we need the cycle of, all right, we stir things up a bit. And Earth School is a zone that's created that allows the soul to come here and learn through duality, through seasons, through ebb and flow, and learning how to do that with balance and mastery, and
right.
consciously create our experience. That's the invitation of the soul when we come here.
So, and let's circle back
Okay.
to the bus accident.
Okay.
Because in a weird way, I don't know if this is, truth, but I had a pretty good couple-year run before that. You know what I mean? No bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Health.
Yeah.
Bills are paid, just, one good day after another. And then life said, well, okay, we got to balance this shit out. So we're going to deal you some lung infection, right? Bus accident. Let's throw in a root canal just to make sure that you're brought back into reality. And I've thought about that. Maybe that it's all balanced, isn't it? It's all right.
Yeah.
Black and white, hot and cold, good and evil. It's all in balance. That
So
duality.
Yeah, and Jimmy, you live a very high level of integrity, and you hold a high bar in terms of your own vibrational frequency. So it doesn't surprise me that you had a good 3-year run. Just because you had challenging circumstances doesn't mean that you have negative karma. It means that you have a soul contract to show up and to participate in something extreme that's going to drastically change you and all of the people involved. And our soul agrees to those things along the way. Like, we're all going to have certain ones of those karmic agreements where we're going to show up and we're going to learn our soul lessons. When it all happens at once like that, for me, that's a sign of, okay, my soul is coming up to an initiation point here. Something was going to happen. This opportunity for me to grow into a new version of myself was going to animate and play out in my circumstances somehow, right? This is it. And I get to show up and make meaning out of all of the things. So again, the universe speaks in symbols. Jimmy, my hunch would be, if we're following the symbols, the lung infection was clearing old sadness that had been holding in your field, that was from old trauma, that was getting replicated in your cells, that no longer needed to be there. And that's how, like, when we get sick, it's basically, it's like our body's detoxing. Something that's been stored within you that you no longer need is surfacing so it can leave. And that's how I look at it now when I get sick. I believe in cause and effect. However, I don't associate my sickness at this point, if I get sick, with, oh, what did I do to deserve this?
Right.
No, right? I'm like, oh, what is my body ready to release? So the question that I ask changes, and it changes my perspective of the illness, right? I feel like I got in the woods a little bit. What was the question you asked me again?
No. Well, we were talking about balances. We were talking
Balance,
about
cause and effect. Oh yeah. So when it happens in a cluster like that, for me, that's a sign. Okay, this is soul initiation. If you find that you had 3 years of bad stuff happening, I'd be like, dude, you're playing like there are obvious patterns that you're participating in that are creating this cause and effect where you're constantly experiencing it. Go back and address those things. But when it all happens at once, I feel like that's like a soul initiation for a major recalibration that's preparing you for your next identity.
I definitely had that conversation with the universe. What you're talking about now. I mean, I literally stood in the middle of my house and I said, okay, all right, enough is enough. Okay, all right, I get it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I get it. I get it. You know, I need to open my eyes. Yeah.
And Jimmy, if every time you had the haunting images that came up, you said, actually, nope, I'm going to remember, what was the guy's name? Remind me, the young man.
Oh, Teddy.
Teddy, yes. Think of Teddy and how Teddy gets to show up in life differently. And think of the togetherness, right, that was there, and everybody collaborating for a common cause. Think of the intervention that you experience and rehearse that in your mind, because every time any of us think something, we're connected to this collective dodecahedron. It's a piece of sacred geometry that surrounds planet Earth. And that's what's actually responsible for the holographic reality that we're all experiencing. Our third eyes are connected to this thing. So when we think things, we're shooting images into this collective structure that holds the planet, that creates the projection into the planet. So when you rehearse the horror that happened, it's putting that frequency out there. If you can use that as an indication of, oh no, because you don't get me, and you program the goodness of the people, the identity, the shift, the connection into the planet, you win.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. I don't know how I'm going to look at this 6 months or a year from now. I don't know, but the perspective is going to evolve and mature. That is, but I can't see that far into the future. It's really, really strange to me. Here's the other crazy thought, Emily, is that none of us can prepare for something like that. You can't. And that's the other thing. What I am going through now is something that I don't have a choice in. You follow me? You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I've got zero control over anything. The way that I think about it, the way that I'm dealing with it. It's crazy. But what choice do I have? I've got no choice. And I have my family. I have my daughter. She looks up to me, right? How do I handle do I freak out? Right? I even debated we're going to go into overtime for a little bit tonight, folks. If you don't mind, Emily.
I'm here for it.
Is that I thought about not telling anybody the night that it happened, right? Yeah. The afternoon that it happened. I thought about that. You know what? They're in another country. All I'm going to do is upset somebody, right? And I took that thought process. Now we're at the first clinic They take us to a clinic. It's a ways away in a little village. It's not what you think. It was one doctor, two nurses in a village of 50 homes, right? In the middle of nowhere. And we overwhelm this clinic, right? 32 people come in, injured, and totally overwhelm them. And they came up to me and said, okay, we're going to examine you. I said, no. Take care of, you know what I mean? Don't worry about me. I couldn't walk, right? Well, what I meant was I was feeling pain. I was feeling it, but I was like, man, there are people that are serious. Go, no, take care of them. 2 days later, I'm finally in a hotel. I'm wearing the same dirty clothes, same, haven't slept, and I get to the hotel and I strip off my clothes and I'm like, man, my ass really hurts. And I turned around and looked. I was like, that's why I'm in pain. Oh, but the point is, I just went into this zone of I'm fine. I'm upright. I'm walking. Take care of everybody else. Take care of that. Be the example, right? There are people that are in pain. It wasn't like I was consciously saying, no, but somebody had to, me and Gustavo, the two of us, had to take charge. And this other lady, her name was Maria, she took charge too, as well. She was amazing. Because everybody was messed up. And I didn't, for most of the people, it was internal injuries, broken ribs or broken hips and pelvises and broken shoulders. And I could see, what I'm, but I don't have x-ray vision, so I can't, I don't know these things, but they need to be examined first. And I didn't know for a couple of days the extent of my stuff when I saw my knees and my butt, but I could walk, and that's that. It's crazy how my mind just put everybody else first, and that's one of the lessons. It's service to others, and that's the path forward. That's it. What can I do to make somebody else's life better? And that's it. That's it.
Yep. And that's a beautiful initiation. I mean, in that moment that you could show up in that way, truly in integrity and service to others, Jimmy. You prove that to yourself. Not that we need to prove it, right? But
no, right. No,
you see that in yourself, and you get to experience the goodness of and truth of who you are.
Well, and everybody did that too, as well. And I know that because we all went through this together. It's just incredible. In that, everybody is looking back at that, going, all we did was stayed calm, facing that. Everybody. That's one of the things that we collectively, we all have to have that same memory. Yeah, it was insane. It was a nightmare, but nobody lost their shit. Everybody, no matter what, was helping everybody else. And everybody was injured. Everybody was injured.
This is like a slice of life that proves what humanity is capable of.
That's right. 100%. 100%.
It's a template. It's a code. It's a key code, Jimmy.
100%. 100%. So, yeah, I don't know. I will definitely talk off the air now that you have this information, and we'll take it further. But I honestly know that my Akashic Records were updated the moment that all of that happened.
Yeah.
And how do I, and they have obviously continuously been updated, and how things and where I'm at now. And so I think I'm in a place where, not that I need or feel the need to talk about it, but I want to learn from it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I want to learn what's the big picture here. You know?
Yep. It makes sense, because when you and your team reached out to me, it blew me away. You were so alive in my field 24 hours before. I thought, I got to reach out to Jimmy and just be like, hey, buddy, what's up? You're alive in my field. I feel like you need a Akashic record reading. Let's go. Let's get this going. And now it makes perfect sense.
Oh, what's your cat's name?
Micah. Named
Micah.
after the prophet of God in the Bible.
Oh, not Micah Hanks. It's not named
Micah
after Micah. Not Micah. Emily, you're the absolute very best. Really quick, you're going to be in Shasta this week, aren't you?
Holy cow, am I going to be in Shasta this week? Yes. So the mystical expedition that I do on Mount Shasta every year at Lionsgate, which has a very specific purpose for people, because the records have shown me how to harness the energies of the planetary vortex. So cool thing about Shasta, it's an interdimensional gateway. The piezoelectric energy and the super volcano open up the frequencies of consciousness, raise consciousness. So you first reach higher, aspects of yourself. And this is why people have meetings with the Ascended Masters, with the UFO contact there at Mount Shasta. Then harnessing the root chakra of the planet, the Shasta is the root chakra. When we go into Mount Shasta, specifically over Lionsgate, there are codes that we can harness that have to do with us understanding our mission and purpose here on the planet, and then aligning from our root to the timeline of our highest potential. So it is a phenomenal opportunity to train in the Akashic Records, to get an Akashic Record reading on the mountain. We do breath work, Tai Chi, Qigong, CE5. And we have some spaces available. If anybody wants to join us in Shasta, go to lionsgateshasta.com and you can learn more about it. But yeah, it's my favorite part of the year, Jimmy, and the astrology this year in terms of what we get to harness. We've got Jupiter in Leo, which means the luck, the abundance, the good fortune that is coming is very real. We get to tap into that energy and direct it into areas of our life where we want it to flow. We've got the nodes of destiny playing out right now. So yeah, for people who are craving a very mystical experience where you want to activate your DNA in the vortexes and get clarity about what you're here to do on the planet and align to that timeline of highest potential, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, next year. You and I, kid.
Yeah.
No, I'm not playing around about that. I'm not playing around. So,
Jimmy, you should totally come you should come there. What are you doing on Wednesday? I'm picking you up on the way. My mom and I are going to pick you up on the way, Shasta.
I would love to be there, but I have some family commitments. I have this show through Thursday, and then I have some family stuff this weekend. Otherwise, I would be there. I would do it. Take my Harley. Yeah, be there in a second. But I'll reach out to you. When do you leave for Shasta?
Wednesday.
Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow then. I'll give you a call. Okay?
Cool. Okay.
Emily Harrison, everybody. Her links are below over on our website and throughout social media. Emily, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Another great conversation, my friend.
Bye, my friend. Bye, guys.
Yep. Emily Harrison, the absolute very best. Little overtime tonight. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow is, what are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow's another great show. Oh, Cody Blue Snyder and Tanya Dahl are with us tomorrow night. So I'll see you tomorrow night. Emily, perfect show. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. But for now, all I've got is Gobekli Tepe. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.